Welcome to the masterclass. Here in Akofa talk about lunch makes me hungry already. But new week, agribusiness series continues. We started with snail farming. I remember that is a lucrative business. You can do it at your backyard. All you need is what, some 2,000 cedis, and you're good to go. And I was actually surprised to hear that snail could cost as much as 50 cedis just for one snail. And then we did fish farming last week. It needs a lot of patience and care. It's capital intensive, but it's very lucrative. Well, today we are going to be talking about poultry farming. We are starting a brand new topic with Emmanuel Odame Nyamekye, who describes himself as a passionate and dedicated poultry farmer. He's built a thriving career in agriculture, specializing in poultry farming with a keen eye for innovation and a commitment to quality. He's established himself as a leader in the field. His expertise lies in identifying opportunities, developing strategies, and driving growth in poultry farming and agricultural practices. He started poultry farming in 2021 and completed a 3-month course in poultry farming as well. So he's successfully expanded farm operations from 500 layers to 4,000 in 3 years, transitioned from deep litter to battery cage system, and trained individuals to become successful farmers and established farms. And so he's our resource person this afternoon. And I want to welcome you all. My name is Daryl Kwawu. I'm in for Yao Banafo, who is away for a couple more weeks. He'll be back definitely. The masterclass is brought to you by Guel, Good Energy Guel, Yanara, and so welcome to you, Emmanuel. How's your day been so far?
It has been great, actually.
Yeah, well, I love chicken, so I'm so interested in poultry. So I just want us to start with how you got into poultry farming in the first place. I mean, what was your interest in poultry farming?
As a matter of fact, I didn't do anything in agric.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a logistics student way back 2019.
A logistics student?
Yeah, and transport.
So where the interest for poultry come from?
After school, I did my service at GCB for a year. And after that, I was home. And my girlfriend by then told me that, why don't we do something?
Okay.
So she told me that, and I didn't know what to do because looking where I am right now, what investment am I going to do? So she said, why don't we do poultry farming? I said, hey, poultry farming, why? So she's from Brongahafo. And this Doma people are very good in poultry farming. Everywhere you go in Brongahafo, there are a lot of poultry farmers. So I think that was the reason why she told us to go to the poultry farming industry. So I said, why not? So I started doing my research on poultry farming for about 6 months. Online, reading, watching YouTubes, going across a lot of poultry farmers like Farm Up in Kenya and all that. So I had the interest, but honestly speaking, I was in for the money.
Everybody's in for the money when they think about
I was
business,
in for the money, not for the passion.
Okay.
First, I was in for the money, not for the passion. But it got to a time, the passion started to grow, and I felt that it was a good thing for me to do. Like it was very good starting the poultry farming industry. So I'm happy to be in the business, and I'm grateful for God for where He has.
Okay, so you did your research about poultry farming in Ghana.
Yes, in Ghana.
What did you discover about the industry then?
Well, it was a very broad industry because looking at Ghanaians, we consume a lot of eggs. Yes, basically a lot of eggs, a lot of chicken.
But I thought that's the cheapest protein now. Eggs.
Yes, cheapest protein, eggs. But now it's getting expensive because
yeah.
when I started, it was as low as 18 cedis for a tray, and now
it's very expensive.
It's about 60, 70.
Wow,
that is a lot.
Wow,
that is a lot. So after we started the business, we decided to do fish. But we got to realize that the profit margin with the fish was lower than the poultry, so we decided to just cut off the fish and
do poultry.
Yes, just go with the poultry.
Yeah, and so you discovered that it was a thriving business and could be lucrative.
Yes.
And so initial steps you took? What did you decide to do from there after your research?
I decided to go for a 3 months course at Francasin Ghana Limited. They're like a poultry helper. How should I? Like a poultry friend. Mm-hmm. When you go there, you can be trained. That is where you can buy your vaccines, your medications, and all that. So I went for a training up for about 3 months at Francasin, and after the training, I was issued a set, and I decided to start the business.
What were you trained in?
What?
What were you trained in? Like, what they take?
Oh, they will take you through basic stuff you have to know, like where to get your chick, how to breed a chick, how to take care of a bird, vaccination schedules, the do's and don'ts. Like basically do's and don'ts. But it's a 3 months course, and they can't really teach you everything that you have to know. So after teaching you the basics, I think you have to also go deep and learn yourself. So after the training, I spoke to my sister, and she got me an expert in the business, who is called Daniel. So he took me through. I didn't buy a land. Good for me. My uncle was in the broiler production, and he stopped. So he had a small coop at Amasama in thereabout. So I went to him, spoke to him about the business, and he said, "Oh, you can use this place." So by then we took the measurements of the place, and we got to know that the measurements can occupy about 500 layers. So then I didn't know where to get a quality chick to buy, so I had to rely on the Daniel guy. He ordered my chicks for me, ordered my feeders and drinkers. He did everything. So the chicks came. I wasn't on site. I had someone to just take care of the chicks whilst he was training the person. So whilst he was training the person, he was also training me, but I wasn't on site.
Right. So
he did his best, did the brooding, and it got to the stage and the birds started laying. And by then, 2021, when the birds started laying, I was making about 7,500 from those 500 layers. That was when the eggs were cheaper. So having 500 layers and I'm getting 7,500 thereabout. That means the more birds you have, the more money you get. So the birds laid for a couple of months, and I realized that no, I have to improve on myself. So we started, and we tried our best to get an acre at Insti Region at Adeso, and we started a new project for about 3,000 layers. That was the second consignment. So 3,000 layers, we started. And those birds also started laying, and they are old. We sold them, and now we have a new batch which are also ready to lay about 4,000 layers. Those are in the cage system right now. So we have two types of the poultry. At first, we have the dip litter. Dip litter is when the birds are on the floor.
Okay.
On the floor in a sawdust, and we have something we call wood shavings. So the sawdust is the powdered one that we have from the wood when you go to the sawmill. And the harder ones are the wood shavings. So that is the dip litter system and the battery cages. So now we are using the battery cages system. We are out of the dip litter system.
So I mean, how has business progressed over time? What's generally been your experience running a poultry farm? You started in 2021, you said?
Yeah, 2021, and I think you're 2024, right?
That's 3 years.
3 years. It's been great. The market is very huge, and we can't actually supply our customers with what we have now. So the prayer is to have about 20,000 by the end of next year.
20,000.
Yeah.
You're doing like 4,000 right now.
Yeah, 4,000 right now.
Layers.
Sorry. 4,000 layers. So the goal is to reach about 20,000 by the end of next year. That is what we are planning to do.
Okay, and where do you supply
our eggs?
Your eggs, your birds?
The market women, of course.
Yeah.
The market women. So they actually find you. They find you wherever you are, whether you're in the bush or whatsoever. They find you. When you're a poultry farmer and you are in the bush or wherever you are, the market women will find you. But we didn't do that. We created a platform on TikTok that we advertise our work.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
On TikTok.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we advertise our work, and that also gave us a lot of customers that call each and every day, but we don't have eggs to supply them because of our quantity, like quantity of birds that we have right now. So
Okay, so we'll just move straight on to the class, okay, for you to take our audience through what they need to know when it comes to poultry farming. So take it away.
poultry farming, it's very broad. We have the broiler section and we have the layer section. So in Ghana, the broiler section, we import about 95% of our broiler, the meat from outside the country. And when you come to the layer aspect too, the day-old chicks too, we import them. There are just few local hatcheries in Ghana that are doing their best to get quality day-old chicks for the farmers in Ghana. So let's talk about how to start a poultry farm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So starting a poultry farm, there are a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. First, you have to seek an expert who knows what he's doing. We have good experts and bad experts. So when you get in the hands of a bad expert, your investment is definitely going to fail. So a good expert who's going to help you do what is right. So first, you have to get a land. If you want to start small, maybe a backyard, but the backyard probably will be fewer.
Just for your household?
Yeah, probably like fewer birds,
Yeah.
maybe 20 or 10. Because if you want to go in big, you have to know the number of birds to know the size of the chicken house. You don't just build something and just bring in 100 birds and just keep them. So you have to know the dimension of the coop before you can know the number of birds you're going to take. So first you get a land, not just any land. It has to be a plain land, no waterlogged area.
Why no waterlogged area?
Well, after building your coop, when the place is waterlogged, it will soak and get into the concrete.
Okay.
Yes, when it does, it wets the litter, which is the wood shavings. When it wets that and the birds peck on that, it's a serious problem. Lots of diseases.
Okay.
Yes, so we don't accept, we don't encourage people to go in for waterlogged area. So, access of water, quality water, of course. So, when you are in a farmland, definitely there wouldn't be Ghana pipe in other areas. So you have to think of having a borehole or something. And sometimes after digging the borehole, you have this iron and other minerals in it. So you have to take it to the lab to test and purify the water so that it will be good for the birds. So
clean water
gets
is
very
what we
clean. What we drink is what the birds also have to take in to prevent infections.
Okay.
Yes, so clean water. And you have to get access to quality chicks. So there are companies in Ghana that are doing their best supplying chicks, and there are companies in Ghana too that import chicks from other countries like Holland and Belgium.
Can you source them locally?
The chicks?
Yeah.
Yes, there are other hatcheries in Ghana that are trying. They are doing their best, like getting good chicks. And I've had students that have bought from them, and the birds are doing well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I want to bring this up. I mean, because people like, if I may put it, foreign birds compared to local ones.
Yeah.
So what's really the trend in when it comes to poultry farming here in Ghana? Do you see more people doing foreign birds or the local birds? What's the trend like?
So the foreign birds are made to lay more eggs. The genetics. That's what I feel. They lay more eggs because, example, a breed like.
So it means not like a natural.
Well, it's a natural. It's a natural bird, but their genetics lay more eggs.
Okay, so
than
different genes.
Yes, different genes. Good, like than our local breed that we have over here. So a foreign breed can lay up to probably, it depends on the breed, maybe 400 eggs in a year.
While the local.
Yes, a local around 80, 90, 100.
Wow.
So yes,
the difference is vast.
It's very huge. So you can't compare the foreign breed to the local breed. So most farmers go in for the foreign and not for the local. But still, some farmers are doing the local.
What's the advantage of doing local? Maybe is there anything that?
Well,
and what's patronage like really?
The birds won't lay much for you, so your profit will be low.
Yeah.
Yes, and for the foreign, they're going to lay a lot of eggs. They are strong. Disease resistance is very high. When it gets sick, it's very hard before it gets it to them. And the local one, when you have just something small, it kills them. So when you just compare the two, I think the foreign is far better than the local.
All right, we continue.
Okay. So quality checks, as I said, and you have to know the kind of feed you have to use. There are lots of companies in Ghana that are preparing feed, already prepared feed, and you can also prepare your own feed. So we prepare our own feed now. We don't buy from them. So you have to know the kind of feed you use, and you have to know how to build your structure.
How expensive is feed though?
Feed is very expensive. So for a layer mash, for a complete 50 kg layer mash, when you buy from the already prepared company, it costs about 360 to 370 cedis, depending on the brand. There are lots of brands. We have Kujis, we have Sankofa, we have Echo, we have Yili. It's a lot. So you have to know what is good with them before you just go in for one. You don't have to go in for any of them. But when you are preparing your own feed, you know what you put in the feed. So you get a concentrate and you mix with other stuff like maize, soya, wheat bran, rice bran, fish meal, and other minerals like lysine and met. That one is very complicated.
And they are easy to have access to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are easy to have access to, but maize now is very difficult. I think the other countries are buying a lot from.
Yeah, and plus you have a dry spell, so there's a bit of a challenge there.
Yeah.
But I mean, when listening from our conversation on fish farming, we discovered that like 90% of the whole farming experience for fish is feed.
Feed, yes.
Same for poultry?
Yes, same for poultry. About 65-70 is for feed. So when I think that is buying already prepared feed. But when you are preparing your own feed and you source directly from the farmers, like maize, like soya bean meal, not the raw soya, the processed soya that they've taken the oil and stuff out. So when you buy the maize from the farmers, wheat brown and all those stuffs, it reduces the cost than buying from the already prepared company. So as I said, a layer mash costs about 370 there, but when you prepare, it goes down to about 290. Sorry, okay. 290 there. So that's about 60 cedis difference. So when you are doing a ton, it's a whole lot of profits preparing your own feed. So that's it. And building up the structures too, that I was saying, you have to know, as I said earlier, you have to know the number of birds you are breeding before you know the dimensions of the coop. You can't just have a coop like this, like a room like this, and just go for 1,000 birds and stuff.
I've seen some sophisticated coops. I mean, that was like a mass poultry production. I mean, for somebody who is starting, what's the consideration for a structure for a bird, for instance, or for birds?
Well, ideally, layers need about 4 square meter like space. Yes. But we do about 2. We don't use the 4 because when you use the 4, the coop will be very, 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 very huge, and that's you have to pump in more money to build that coop. So about 2 is okay. So if you want to have about 500 layers, that's going to be about 50 feet by 20, which is 1,000. You divide by 2, and you have 500 layers in that coop. So you have to know what you are doing before you can prepare the coop for 500 beds. You can't just use any measurements and go in for 500 beds. So that is about the coop.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So we've talked about housing, we've talked about feed. What other consideration?
And next, after having all those things, that is when the chicks come in. So we talk about brooding. Brooding is when you get the chicks and you breed them for them to get to the pullet stage, about 6 or 7 weeks.
What does that entail?
A whole lot. So a whole lot. I have about 10 minutes. How many?
Well, let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So brooding is when
Sarah says feel free and talk. Yeah.
Okay. So brooding is when you bring a chick and you take care of the chick to about 6 or 7 weeks. But mostly we finish or complete our brooding at 3 weeks. So brooding too depends on your location, whether you are in a hot climate or a cold climate place. It depends. to know the number of weeks you are going to do your brooding. So when you bring the chick on the site, there's what we call brooding papers. So you put your brooding papers on the wood shavings, so that chicks are very sensitive. They are very, very small. They don't have even skeleton, so they don't have to peck on the ground and pick some particles. It's very harmful. So you put the brooding paper on the wood shaving for about 3 days, and after that you take them off for them to have free range with the wood shavings. Some farmers don't do that still. They feel it's not good and blah, blah, blah. So there are some advantages of using the wood shavings and advantages of using the paper, as I said earlier on. These chicks are very sensitive when they come to when they are transported and get to the site. Their sight is very, very bad. It's very hard for them to see, so they use their ear to know what is here and what is there. So when you have the brooding paper on the floor and they are walking, they use their ear to know where their other colleagues are running to. So when a feeder is over there and they run towards the feeder, they get to know that no, our colleagues are running to this place, so let's get to the same place. And when they get to that place, they find the feeder and start eating from the feeder. So when you bring the chicks, you have to be like a mother to them. They've taken them away from their mother. So we have charcoal in a pot to provide heat for them, lightning and all that. You have to know the temperature that you're going to give to them for the first week, second week and all that. So when they come the first day, the temperature should be about 36 to 38 for about 3 to 4 days, very, very warm. And after that, after 4 or 5 days, you start reducing the temperature by 0.5 until it gets to the normal temperature. So 0.5 every day until it gets to the normal temperature. But some farmers do not do that. They brood to about 6 to 7 weeks. Imagine a chick growing feathers and you still having heat in the coop. It's not going to be good. So you have to know that the duration period of the brooding, so that you can brood well to have a quality chick, because that is when it develops its skeleton. So when you don't do it well, when it grows, it will be a problem for you. So brooding is very, very critical. When you don't brood well, it's cost 90.
Wow.
It's cost 90. So
after brooding, how long does it take before the birds start laying eggs? Because I think that's the end game, right? That's the goal for everyone who's...
So it depends on the quality of feed. A layer can start laying at 16, 17. That is the ideal week that it has to start laying.
15, 17 weeks?
Yes, 16, 17.
16, 17
yes.
weeks.
But when your feed formulation
that's like 4 months?
Yes, 4 months thereabout. But when your feed formulation is bad, you buy from the wrong source, it could take you about 23, 24, even 30, and your bird is not laying. So 16, 17 is a good stage for you to start.
Yeah, and how do you distinguish? People have broilers, people have layers.
Yes.
How do you distinguish between the two? Which ones are the broilers? Which ones are the layers?
But we don't do broilers. But broilers are for meat. Within 6 weeks they are ready. They are very big and heavy.
So you are not raising them necessarily for their eggs, but for meat?
No, we do layers, and layers are...
I'm just talking in the general sense that
okay.
If somebody was raising
for broilers, yes, it's just for meat. It's just for meat.
Eggs from
no, it's just for meat, and 6 weeks they are ready. So for the broilers, when you don't have markets for the broilers and you go in for broilers and you start raising the broilers and it gets to 6 weeks and no one buys them from you, you are running at a loss, because they'll be eaten and they'll be dying.
Wow.
Yes, they'll be eaten. After 6 weeks, you have to sell them.
Okay.
So when it gets to 7 week and no one is buying, they'll still be eaten and it will be a problem for you.
Well, there's plenty more to talk about this afternoon on the masterclass as we discuss poultry farming. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, probably talk more about market opportunities, how profitable this business is for you who is listening, who is interested. I guess that is the bottom line, right? You want to make some more money. When we come back we'll try take some messages if you have any questions. 055111 1997 is the WhatsApp line. 055111 11997, or you can call 0302 216 545. 6541. This is the Masterclass. Short break. We'll be right back.
Your favorite on-air business development program, Joy Business Masterclass, is in session, and you can interact with us on Facebook via the Joy 99.7 FM or Joy Business pages. If you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM or at Joy Business GH. Don't forget to hashtag JB Masterclass. You can also call us on 0302 216541 or send your questions and contributions through to the WhatsApp number 0551 111997, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention everyone, class is in progress.
All right, welcome back to the Masterclass. My name is Daryl Kwawu in for Banafo. I'm here with Emmanuel Odame, who is a poultry farmer, farm management and consultancy expert. We are continuing our agribusiness series. Today we are talking about poultry farming. We are just scratching the surface. I'm told that we'll continue this conversation next week. So there's plenty more to talk about. We've been learning about Emmanuel's journey so far. We've been talking about what it takes to start the business. We've talked about feed, we've talked about structures, we've been talking about brooding. I hear there's a lot more to talk about brooding. And so if you're listening, if you have any question, 05511 1997 05511111997, or we'll open the phone lines if you have any questions, 0302 216541. Well, the Masterclass is brought to you by Gwell PLC, your CIMG Hall of Fame and 2022 Petroleum Company of the Year, has taken the lead again. Gwell has opened ultra-modern liquefied petroleum auto gas service stations. The modern auto gas service is safe, clean, and offers affordable alternative fuel for your vehicle. Look out for the Gwell Auto Gas Station in the following areas: Bema-Camp Gwell Service Station, Accra; Beshi Gwell Service Station, Accra; Pedu Junction Gwell Service Station, Cape Coast; Pitten Gwell Service Station, Takoradi; Kenton Krono Gwell Service Station, Kumasi. Gwell, delivering the safest and affordable gas at your convenience. Gwell, good energy. Gwell, yeah. All right, so back to the discussion with Emmanuel. And so we're talking about brooding. You have a bit more to say about brooding for those listening.
Okay, so to talk about brooding, one thing that is very important that I want to talk about is the lighting system in brooding.
The lighting system?
Yes, lighting system.
Do they like lots of light?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They do, but it has a type of light you have to use. So when the chicks get on the site, there's something we call the amber light. It looks like red, but not really red, the amber light. So most people use a very high light, like 50 watts, 100 watts white. When the birds are in that, it's very stressful. It's very, very bright, so it stresses the birds. But the amber light is a very calm bulb that gives the birds a cozy environment for them to feel like they're home.
Okay.
Yes. So when the birds get to the site on the first day, you give them about 24 hours of light for like 3 days for them to eat and drink very well. But after that, you have to know that nature also counts. Like humans, as we sleep, you have to know that the bird has to rest for maybe an hour and go back to eat. So you don't have to make the bird eat every day, 24/7 and all that. And when you're brooding, some people brood with the black rubber. They brood with the black rubber around the coop so that the heat will be inside. But when you're using the black rubber, the bird will not really be able to see if it's morning or night outside because it's black and it's inside. It wouldn't be able to experience nature. But when you use the white rubber, which is very plain, when it's morning, it's able to see that it's morning. You can off the light in the coop and it will experience nature with the natural light. And when it's getting dark, it will sense that it's getting darker. You can on the light for it to go back to eat or sleep a while and go back. But when you use the black rubber, it wouldn't see anything. But some farmers still use the black rubber though, and it's working for them. But I think things are growing in the industry, and we really have to learn more things about it. So.
I divert a bit because you talked about feeding them. How many times you have to feed the birds in a day?
It depends. When it's a chick, you have to feed it every time. Every
Every time.
Yeah, every time, like all the time. It has to have feed all the time.
Oh wow.
Yes. So, as I said, it takes about 16 weeks for a bird to lay. So every week has 8 grams of feed that the bird has to eat. You don't have to overfeed the bird. So like in the first week, it depends on the breed. Every breed comes with a guide. It will tell you to give the bird 10 grams in a day. Second week, 15 grams in a day. But most farmers don't like to read. They just have feed all over. The bird is eating. If it's even overfeeding, you wouldn't know. If it's underfeeding, you wouldn't know. So to get a time that the bird has to start laying, 16 weeks, you go check the weight, and the weight doesn't match to the guide. You get it? So most farmers don't really read, and they're falling apart. So I think most farmers have to start reading the guide of the chick and know what they're telling you to do the right thing, to get your egg on the 16 weeks or 15 weeks or 17 weeks than getting your eggs very late. Yes. That's what
Are we done with the lights?
No, we're not done with the light, sorry. So the lighting aspect is when the chicks come on site and you have the lights for like 3 days, you have to know that it has to sleep. So when it's getting dark around 6 p.m., when it's getting dark, you don't have to on light. You have to let the chicks sleep a bit for an hour. And when it's an hour and like 7 p.m., you can on the light. It will rest for an hour and go back to eat. So 2 weeks, you can make it around 2 hours of darkness so that it sleeps. So when you have the guide teaches you all that.
So when there's darkness, the natural tendency is to go to bed.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But it depends on the breed. When you have the breed guide lets you know the number of dark hours it has to get. So we use Novogen breed. You can't go and use Highland breed for Novogen birds. That is why it comes with a guide. So when you read the guide very well, it tells you how to use the lighting system very well. When you don't use it right, it becomes a problem. Yes. So you get a time when the bird's about 12, 13 weeks, you will get to see that the darkness and the light is the same. They sleep like we normal human beings. When it's nighttime, they sleep to the next morning. No light will be in the coop. But some farmers, they will get to 12 weeks and there'll still be light in the coop. The birds will still be eating at 12 weeks. They wouldn't rest. And when you don't rest, what happens? Stress.
It all comes down to proper training, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when it doesn't rest, it comes to stress.
So once the lights are sorted, what next?
When the lights are sorted and it gets to a time where you don't up the light again, you are done with the lightening program. And when they start to lay, you go back to the lightening program. When a bird is laying, it needs about 16 hours of light. But naturally, we have about 12 hours of daylight. So when it's 6 p.m., you switch on the light for about 4 hours and you off it around 10 p.m. for them to go back to sleep. That is when they are laying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me just take this question from Joseph Ajiman, who is listening from Committee 9, Tema. He's asking, he says, "Good afternoon, Masterclass. Please ask for me, what is the minimum amount of money needed to start a poultry farm and also the land size?"
It depends on the number of birds that you want to have. So when you're having about 500, you want to have about 500 layers, it sums to about 71,000. I can break it down for you, for him to understand why I'm saying 71,000. So a chick costs about between 25 to 31 cedis, just a chick, depending on the company where you're ordering it from. So assuming we are using 25 cedis per chick, if you have 25 chicks, it's about 12,500 for the chicks only. And feeders and drinkers, we have feeders and drinkers for chicks and feeders and drinkers for layers. So you have to buy feeders and drinkers for layers, and when they are getting to the pullet stage, which is about 6 or 7 weeks, you change their feeders and drinkers and bring in the matured feeders and drinkers so that it wouldn't be small for them. So those feeders and drinkers will sum up to about 2,000 cedis for the 500 beds. And then building a coop for the 500 beds, it depends on how you want to build a coop. You can try and do things to reduce the cost, but the standard coop for 500 beds will cost about 25 to 30,000. That is a lot.
Wow.
Yes, that is a lot. But when you go to Kenya and other countries, instead of the block work that we use, they use roofing sheets to reduce cost. So as I said, you can do things to reduce the cost for the coop.
Well, I just want to be sure. The figures that you are quoting, is this for like a large scale poultry production or
No, 500 layers.
500?
Just that.
Do I necessarily need to start with 500
No,
layers?
no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking for people who want to really start on a very.
You can start with 100. You can start with 20. It depends on what you want to do. Your strength. But I just want to use the 500 layers
500,
for him to understand very well.
Okay,
yeah.
so maybe then you can work out your math.
Yes, your math to know what you have to do for like 100 layers and stuff like that.
And so if you're doing 500, I mean, I think people also want to know how much profit am I going to make?
Well, according to what I did, 500 beds, when you're having 90% production, we have 30 eggs in a tray. 30 eggs in a tray.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have 90% production, you'll be having about 15 trays of egg in a day from those birds. And according to the current price of eggs right now, at the farm price, when you sell all those eggs, you can be making about 15,000 cedis a month from those birds. I don't want to go deep, it's a whole lot. So with the 500 layers, when you sell a tray for like 45 cedis, we have sizes. We have small, we have medium, we have large, extra larges, but you can sell all together as unsalted. You don't salt them. So the unsalted stage, when the bird is about 26, 27 weeks, the eggs are not really big. So you can sell them as for like 45 cedis thereabout, and that will sum to 15,000 of net profits in a month.
In a month, 15,000.
Yeah, for 500 layers.
Wow.
Yeah. So when they lay for about 16 weeks, you can have a bird lay to 100 weeks. That is close to 2 years. A bird can lay for like 2 years when you have good nutrition, proper hygiene, good ventilation, and all that. When all these are wrong, you can't get to the 100 weeks. When all these are wrong, you can't get your 15 trays. When all these are wrong, problem. You wouldn't be able to get all this profit and you lose. So you have to, that's what I said from the beginning, you have to consult.
Did you have such an experience?
Yes, I did.
Tell us about it.
So when we had our 3,000 layers that we sold earlier, when we were building our coop, we didn't have the block work lower. You know, the block work has to be about 1 or 2 calls. You know, the bed is below that so that when the air is passing, it can, have some cool air. But when the block work is higher and the bed is lower, when the air is blowing, it passes at the top surface. It wouldn't go down. So we had issues with heat stress, and heat stress also kills a lot. Heat stress, it really kills a lot. You know, the bed has these feathers, these huge feathers, and there's heat inside. It's a problem for the bed. And when there's heat stress, production drops. When production drops, you wouldn't be able to get your profit. So the coop is already done. It's done wrongly, mistake coop. You can't correct it whilst the birds are inside. So you'll be with the problem. Tough. Yes, you'll be with the problem to the end. So we were in that problem with the heat stress until we sold the birds. So those birds had problem with production, up and down, and we learned from that mistake, and now we are doing the right stuff.
Okay. We are going to end it here because you're going to continue the conversation next week, where I'm sure you're going to be talking more about what goes into poultry farming, the market opportunities, value addition as well. I mean, how you could also use technology, for instance, to increase production. I know there are so many challenges with the poultry sector right now. If you think it's still a viable place, is it? Do you think it's still very lucrative?
Yeah, it is. Very, very, very. Oh, very, very. I'm not lying, but
okay.
We have a lot of challenges like feeding. You'll be on the farm today and maize will be 200 cedis, and next week it's 305. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to still buy it. That is the only challenge we're having. Apart from that, it's good.
So just a tease for us what you'll be looking at next week.
Next week we'll be looking at how to prepare our own feed preparation, what goes into that, and the challenges, the risks in poultry, and also biosecurity, diseases that we have on the farm, how to prevent those, how to control those, and other stuff.
All right. So to make a date, plenty more to talk about with Emmanuel Nyamekye Odame, who is a poultry farmer, farm management, and a consultancy expert. Okay. Yes, people listening right now, they want your contact. So share with us, how can they get in touch with you?
So we have a platform on TikTok that we have our business number on that page. You can reach the number on 054 918 6678 and you get to someone to talk
Can you
to.
say that again?
054 918 6678.
Okay. As you're telling me that there are a lot of TikTokers who wanted you to stream this conversation.
Yeah,
because
they
are
wanted me to
really
go on
interested.
live. Yeah.
These are young people who want to.
Yeah, young people. We have about 200,000 followers on
The-
TikTok. So
all interested in poultry
yeah,
farming?
all
Oh,
interested.
that's great. That's exciting to hear. So Emmanuel will be back next week with some part 2 of our discussion on poultry farming. I hope you enjoyed the first part. I'm still considering snailfish poultry. Well, let's see. At the end of the 13 weeks, I would have made a decision
Right.
on that. And this is a masterclass brought to you by Well, Good Energy, Well, India. We'll be back same time next week. Right now, Ignition continues with Akofa. Don't go anywhere.